Please don't watch it alone. Like, share, and subscribe only if you dare to listen this type of stories regularly. It happened when I was in college. I had just moved into a new apartment off campus, sharing it with a roommate named Emily. We didn't know each other well, but she seemed nice enough, and we quickly settled into a routine. We both had busy schedules, so we rarely spent time together, but that was fine with me. I enjoyed the peace and quiet. One evening, I came home late after a long day of classes and studying at the library. As I entered the apartment, I noticed that the lights were off and the place was eerily quiet. Emily must have gone out, I thought, and I didn't think much of it. I went to the kitchen to grab a snack and then headed to my room. As I passed by Emily's door, I saw that it was slightly ajar, and the room was dark. I peeked inside just to make sure she wasn't home. Her bed was neatly made, and everything was in its place. It was strange because Emily was usually a bit messy. And again, I shrugged it off. Maybe she'd just cleaned up before leaving. I went to my room, closed the door, and started getting ready for bed. I was exhausted and couldn't wait to crawl under the covers. As I lay down, I heard a faint noise. It sounded like whispering, but I couldn't make out any words. I sat up, listening carefully, but the apartment was silent. Must be my imagination, I thought, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling that had settled over me. I turned off the light and lay back down, pulling the blanket up to my chin. That's when I heard it again, whispering, this time louder and more distinct. My heart began to race. The sound was coming from the hallway, right outside my door. I held my breath, straining to hear what was being said, but it was too soft, too garbled to understand. I slowly got out of bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I crept toward the door, every nerve in my body on edge. I pressed my ear against the wood, listening intently. Come out, I'm waiting. The whisper was barely audible, but the words sent a shiver down my spine. I jumped back from the door, my mind racing. Who was out there? Was it Emily playing a prank? But it didn't sound like her voice. It was low, raspy, and unfamiliar. I felt a surge of fear. Someone was in our apartment. Grabbing my phone, I quickly texted Emily, asking if she was home. No response. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. Panic was setting in now. I had to do something. I grabbed the heaviest object I could find, a metal lamp, and slowly opened my door. The hallway was dark, and the only light came from the street lamp outside the window. I could barely see anything, but I knew I couldn't just stay in my room, waiting for whatever or whoever was out there to come to me. I stepped into the hallway, holding the lamp up like a weapon. My breath was coming in short, quick gasps, and my hands were shaking. I listened for any sound, any movement, but there was nothing. Just the oppressive silence of the empty apartment. I moved toward Emily's room, inching forward step by step. The door was still slightly ajar, and as I got closer, I noticed something strange. The whispering had stopped, but there was another sound now. Faint, rhythmic thumping coming from inside her room. I pushed the door open with trembling hands, bracing myself for what I might find. But the room was empty, just as I'd seen before. The bed was made, and everything was in its place. The thumping sound, however, was louder now, and it seemed to be coming from the closet. My heart was in my throat as I approached the closet door. I could see it shaking slightly, as if something or someone was inside. I gripped the lamp tightly, raising it above my head, and then, with a burst of courage, I flung the closet door open. The closet was empty, but the thumping sound continued, echoing in the small space. I looked around, confused and terrified, when I noticed something on the floor, a small square panel, slightly askew. It was a hatch, leading to some kind of crawl space beneath the apartment. The thumping was coming from below. I nearly dropped the lamp in fear. Someone was underneath the apartment, right below us. I slammed the closet door shut and ran back to my room, locking the door behind me. My hands were shaking so badly that I could barely dial 911, but I managed to call the police and tell them what was happening. It felt like hours before they arrived, but it was probably only minutes. They searched the apartment and found the hatch in Emily's closet. The officers pried it open, and what they discovered sent chills down my spine. There was a small, cramped space beneath the apartment, just big enough for someone to crawl through. And there, in the darkness, they found a man. a homeless person who had been living under our apartment for who knows how long. He had been sneaking in and out through the hatch, probably while we were out, and listening to us from below. The man was arrested, and the police assured us that he wouldn't be coming back. But I couldn't stay in that apartment after that. The thought of someone watching me, listening to me, without me even knowing, was too much to bear. I moved out the next day, leaving behind everything I could. To this day, I still get chills whenever I hear a strange noise at night. I always check every door, every closet, just to make sure no one is hiding, waiting in the darkness. Because you never know who or what might be lurking just out of sight.